हेलो गाइस, कैसे हो आप लोग? बताइए। चलिए आज हम लोग बॉडी फ्लूइड्स एंड सर्कुलेशन पढ़ेंगे। और ये जो है इसमें सारे क्वेश्चंस आपके बन जाएंगे ये पढ़ने के बाद। और काफ़ी समय से 2 दिन पहले लास्ट शायद 14 तारीख को लाइव आए थे, फिर 15 16 नहीं आए, आज 17 है। इट्स ओके। तो शुरू करते हैं बॉडी फ्लूइड्स एंड सर्कुलेशन। सो बॉडी फ्लूइड्स एंड सर्कुलेशन पहले हम लोग इंट्रोडक्शन पढ़ेंगे, ठीक है? इंट्रोडक्शन पढ़ेंगे, उसके बाद हम लोग ब्लड, उसके बाद ब्लड ग्रुप्स, ये सब पढ़ेंगे। चलिए सो इंट्रोडक्शन। what is what is what are simple organisms? Simple organisms circulate water from their surroundings through their body cavities. Simple organisms circulate water from their surrounding through their body cavities. Okay. Simple organisms surround simple organisms circulate water from their surrounding. Complex organisms use special fluids within their bodies to transport material. तो ह्यूमन जो है वो कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑर्गेनाइज्म में पड़ता है। वो क्या करता है? यूजुअली यूज स्पेशल फ्लूइड्स विद इन देयर बॉडीज टू ट्रांसपोर्ट materials. Okay. Next is blood. Blood is a special connective tissue. ब्लड स्पेशल कनेक्टिव टिश्यू है, फ्लूइड मैट्रिक्स है, इसमें प्लाज्मा है और फॉर्म्ड एलिमेंट्स. ओके, फ्लूइड मैट्रिक्स, प्लाज्मा एंड फॉर्म्ड एलिमेंट्स. सो फर्स्ट वी विल रीड प्लाज्मा. First we will read about plasma. Body fluids and blood is a special connective tissue. Blood is a special connective tissue. ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. इसमें 3 प्रकार के एलिमेंट्स हैं जो कि फ्लूइड मैट्रिक्स, plasma or formed elements. Plasma fact also includes clotting factor in inactive form. Plasma में क्या है? Also include clotting factors in inactive form. Plasma is a straw colored viscous fluid. ये straw colored होता है, ठीक है. प्लाज्मा जो है वो आपका straw colored होता है. आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा, ये straw colored होता है और ये एक viscous fluid भी है. Constituents are glucose, amino acid and lipid. Glucose, amino acid and lipid. Minerals are sodium plus, calcium 2 plus, magnesium 2 plus and HCO3 minus and chlorine minus. So these are the constituents. Also these have protein, fibrinogen, globulin and albumin. Fibrinogen are the for clotting or coagulation of blood. For clotting or coagulation of blood, fibrinogen is present. Globulin involves defense mechanism of the body. Albumin helps in osmotic balance. Fibrinogen for coagulation of blood, clotting. Globulin involved in defense mechanism of the body. Albumin helps in osmotic balance. Okay, albumin helps in osmotic balance. Serum equals to plasma minus clotting factor. Okay, serum, what is serum? Serum equals to plasma minus clotting factor. So whole plasma is described briefly in this small flowchart. Plasma, straw colored viscous fluid. What are the constituents? Glucose, amino acid and lipids. Constituent minerals: sodium plus, calcium 2 plus, magnesium 2 plus, HCO3 minus and chlorine minus. Sorry, HCO3 and Cl minus. What are the proteins? Fibrinogen for clotting or coagulation of blood. Globulin involved in defense mechanism. Albumin helps in osmotic balance. Okay, albumin helps in osmotic balance. Okay, so this is the whole theory. And what is serum? Serum equals to plasma minus clotting factor. Now, formed elements. What are formed elements? There are two types of formed elements, three types of formed elements: RBC, WBC and platelets. Okay, we will read in detail. For RBC is also known as erythrocyte, most abundant in nature. In blood, it is present in 5 to 5.5 million per cubic meter. Function is transportation of O2 and CO2. transportation of O2 and CO2. RBC function is transport of O2 and CO2. WBC leukocytes, it is 6,000 to 8,000. Different types, function is different types on basis of function are as follow. White blood cells are called as leukocyte. They are present as, their number is 6 to 8,000. Granulocyte, BA granulocyte. Two types of white blood cells are there, granulocytes and A granulocyte. Okay. So granulocyte, neutrophils, most abundant, eosinophils, acidophils, basophils least. A granulocyte, lymphocyte, B and T, monocyte. Now in blood, neutrophils are present about of WBC 60 to 65%. Function, they are active phagocytes. Eosinophil 2 to 3% of WBC, and they resist infection associated with allergic reaction. They resist infection. Eosinophil resist infection and associated with allergic reaction. Eosinophil, neutrophil, eosinophil only 2 to 3%, resist infection and associated with allergic reaction. And basophils, basophils are in least amount. Basophils are in least amount. They are 0.5 to 1% of WBC. They secrete histamine, serotonin, heparin and are involved in inflammatory reactions. They secrete histamine, serotonin, heparin and are involved in inflammatory reactions. So neutrophils 60 to 65% of WBC, they are active phagocyte. Eosinophil 2 to 3% of WBC, resist infections and in allergic reactions. And basophils secrete histamine and involved in serotonin, heparin and involved in other inflammatory reactions. Okay. Okay. Now agranulocytes, lymphocytes B and T. Lymphocytes are constitute 20 to 25% of WBC. It is a part of immune system. And monocyte 4.8 of WBC, 4.8%, and it is also active phagocyte. So from granulocyte we have neutrophils, which is active phagocyte, and from A granulocyte it is monocyte, which is also a active phagocyte. Now third, platelets. Platelets or thrombocytes produced from megakaryocytes, 1,50,000 to 3,50,000 need for blood clotting. It is important for blood clotting. Okay, phagocyte is important for Platelet is important for blood clotting. Hello. Tawar, hello. TB War. Yes, hello. What are you doing? Okay. What are you doing? ओके सो अगर समराइज करूं फॉर्म्ड एलिमेंट्स को रेड ब्लड कॉर्पसल एरिथ्रोसाइट मोस्ट अबंडेंट 5 to 5.5 million and function is transportation of O2 and CO2. White blood cells 6,000 to 8,000. Different types on basis of functions are as follow. Granulocyte neutrophil most abundant 60 to 65% active phagocyte. Eosinophil 2 to 3% of WBC resist infection associated with allergic reactions. And basophils 0.5 to 1% secrete histamine, serotonin, heparin and are involved in anti-inflammatory reactions. Agranulocyte, lymphocyte, BND 20-25%, WBC, it is a part of immune system. Monocyte 4.8% of WBC and are active phagocyte. Platelets 1,50,000 to 3,50,000 need for blood clotting. Now we'll move to the section blood groups. Blood groups. And before that, I think you need a break. So Now we will read about blood groups. Two types of grouping, the ABO and RH, are widely used all over the world. ABO grouping is based on the presence or absence of two surface antigens, chemicals that can induce immune response on the RBC, namely A and B. Similarly, the plasma of different individuals contain two natural antibodies, proteins in response to antigens. ABO grouping is based on the presence of two surface antigen. तो ABO grouping जो है वो mainly based है in the presence of two or presence or absence of two surface antigens, that is A and B. Similarly, the plasma of different individuals contain two natural antibodies, proteins produced in response to antigen. Proteins produced in response to antigens. Okay. Blood group A. Antigen on RBC of blood group A is A. Antibody is plasma, and antibody is in plasma is anti-B. Donors group can get blood from A and O. Recipients group can give blood to A and AB. So antibody against blood group A is anti-B. Donors group A and O can get blood from A and O. O is the universal donors group and A is the blood donors group of blood group A and AB. Recipient group can give blood to A and AB. Okay, A वाले ब्लड ग्रुप का बंदा A और AB को ही दे सकता है अपना ब्लड, और ले सकता है किससे? सिर्फ A और O से. चलिए, ब्लड ग्रुप B, antigen on surface of RBC is B, antibody in plasma is anti-A, and donors group means can get blood from B and O and can give blood to B and AB. Blood group AB, antigen on surface of RBC is A and B, antibody nil, can get blood from A, B, AB and O, can give blood to only AB. O, antigen is none, antibody is A and B, can get blood from only O, can give blood to A, B, AB and O. So universal donors group is O, universal recipient group is AB. Okay. During blood transfusion, any blood cannot be used. The blood of the donor has to be carefully matched with the blood of a recipient before any blood transfusion to avoid severe problems of clumping, production of clots that clog capillaries. The blood group O can be donated to person with any other blood group. Therefore, the individuals with blood group O are called universal donors. A person with AB blood can accept blood from person with any group of blood. Therefore, such person are called universal recipients. Rh antigen observed Rh blood group. What is Rh blood group? Rh antigen observed on the surface of RBC of majority, nearly 80% of humans. If Rh antigen is present, the blood group is called Rh positive. If blood group Rh antigen is absent, it is called Rh negative. Erythroblastosis and foetalis. Now, erythroblastosis and foetalis. An Rh negative person, if exposed to Rh positive blood, will form specific antibody against the Rh antigen. An Rh negative person, if exposed to Rh positive, will form specific antibodies against Rh antigens. Rh incompatibility observed between Rh negative blood of a pregnant mother with Rh positive blood of the fetus. Rh antigen of the fetus do not get exposed to the Rh negative blood of the mother in the first pregnancy, as two bloods are well separated by the placenta. During the delivery of the first child, there is a possibility of exposure of maternal blood to small amounts of Rh positive blood from the fetus. So in such cases, the mother starts preparing antibodies against Rh antigen in her blood. In case of her subsequent pregnancy, the Rh antibodies from mother Rh negative can leak into the blood of the fetus and destroy the fetal RBC. आपको ये समझना पड़ेगा, अगर RH नेगेटिव मदर है और RH पॉजिटिव फादर है तो उसमें क्या होगा कि पहले जो एक बार फर्स्ट प्रेगनेंसी हुआ प्लेसेंटा में, तो वो वेल सेपरेट किया जाएगा ब्लड को, और जो किड है वो निकल आएगा. लेकिन सेपरेट करते टाइम प्लेसेंटा से थोड़ा सा भी अगर ब्लड मदर में चला गया तो वो RH एंटीबॉडी फॉर्म कर लेगा. अब इससे क्या होगा, जैसे ही सिग्निफिकेंट मतलब सेकेंड प्रेगनेंसी होगा उसमें वो जो RH एंटीबॉडी पहले से बना हुआ है, जैसे ही रहेगा RH पॉजिटिव एक फेटस आया है उसको डिस्ट्रॉय कर देगा. तो इसी को बोलते हैं एरिथ्रोब्लास्टोसिस foetalis. Okay. Next topic is coagulation of blood. Blood exhibit coagulation or clotting in response to an injury or trauma. This mechanism prevents excessive blood loss from body. This mechanism prevents excessive blood loss from body. Clot or coagulation is a dark reddish brown scum formed at the site of a cut or an injury over a period of time. Okay, so clot or coagulum is a dark रेडिश ब्राउन स्कम. जैसे ही आपको कट लगता है रेडिश ब्राउन स्कम फॉर्म हो जाता है वहाँ पर at the site of cut or an injury over a period of time. Clot is formed of a network of threads called fibrins in which dead and damaged formed elements are of blood are trapped. Okay, so clot is formed of a network of threads called fibrins which is dead and damaged formed elements of blood are trapped. Suppose injured tissue releases thromboplastin and blood platelets disintegrate and okay, so yes, injured tissue releases thromboplastin. Thromboplastin, calcium proteins, prothrombinase. Prothrombinase inactivates heparin. Heparin, prothrombin, prothrombokinase inactivates heparin, prothrombin, then calcium plus thrombin catalyzes fibrinogen to fibrin. Fibrin plus blood cells equals to clot. So what is clot? Clot or coagulum is a dark reddish brown scum formed at the site of the injury over a period of time. Clot is formed of a network of threads called fibrins. Clot is a formed of network of threads called fibrins in which damaged and dead formed elements of bloods are trapped. In which dead and damaged form of blood are trapped. Injured tissue releases thromboplastin. Thromboplastin, calcium 2 plus protein to prothrombokinase. Prothrombinase inactivates heparin. Prothrombin to thrombin catalyzes fibrin. Fibrin to fibrinogen to fibrin. Catalyzes fibrinogen to fibrin. Fibrin plus blood cells equals to clot. Okay. So this is the point. So Injured tissue releases thromboplastin. Thromboplastin releases prothrombinase by calcium 2 plus protein, inactivates heparin, prothrombin to thrombin, thrombin to fibrinogen to fibrin plus blood cells equals to clot. Blood platelets disintegrate and release platelet factor thromboplastin, also release prothrombinase of calcium 2 plus protein. So thromboplastin to injured tissue, thromboplastin, prothrombinase, prothrombin, thrombin, prothrombinase, prothrombin, thrombin, fibrinogen to fibrin, fibrin plus blood cells equals to clot. This is the main. ये ही है मोटा मोटा तौर पे डायग्रामेटिक रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ ब्लड क्लॉटिंग प्रोसेस. Okay. And lymph or tissue fluid. What is lymph or tissue fluid? Lymph is the fluid that allows exchange of nutrients of gases between blood and cells. Function is, what is definition? Fluid present in lymphatic system. Contain lymphocytes. It is a colorless fluid. ये एक colorless fluid है. ठीक है, colorless fluid. और इसमें allows exchange of nutrients of gases between bloods and cells. Allows exchange of gases between bloods and cells. Okay, so okay. Fluid present in lymphatic system. Function important carrier for nutrients and hormones. Lymph is a important carrier for nutrients and hormones. Absorption of fat through lactaceals present in intestinal villi. So these are the function. Again, I am covering lymph. Allows exchange of nutrients, gases between blood and cells. Contains lymphocytes, which is a colorless fluid. Absorption of fat through lactaceals present in intestinal villi. जो फैट इंटेस्टिनल विलीज में प्रेजेंट है उसमें से लैक्टेशियल्स थ्रू लैक्टेशियल्स उसमें से फैट एब्जॉर्ब करना which are present in intestinal villi. हाँ की हाँ important carrier for nutrients and hormones. Important carrier for nutrients and hormones. Fluid present in lymphatic system is known as lymph. Function is important carrier for nutrients and hormones. Absorption of fat through lactaceals present in intestinal villi. contain lymphocytes. Colorless fluid allows exchange of nutrients, gases between bloods and cells. Okay, done. Circulatory system. Now circulatory system. First is circulatory pathways. The circulatory pathways patterns are basically of two types: open and closed. Open and closed. There are two types of circulatory pathways only, that is open and closed. Blood flows through open spaces. In open system, blood flows through open spaces or body cavities called lacunae or sinuses. In closed system, blood flows through blood vessels. In open system, body tissues are in direct contact with blood. In open system, body tissues are in direct contact with blood. But in closed system, body tissues are in direct contact with, are not in direct contact with blood. Blood flows at low pressure through lacunae and sinuses in open system. In closed system, blood flows at high pressure through closed blood vessels. हाई प्रेशर में ब्लड फ्लो करता है क्लोज सिस्टम वाले प्राणी में. It is slow and less efficient. It is fast and more efficient. It is slow and less efficient. It is fast and more efficient in closed system of blood. In closed system of circulatory pathway. কখন শুবি? হ্যাঁ, ও ঠিক আছে. লাইভ দেখছিস আমার? ঠিক আছে, দেখতে হবে না. টাটা. ড্যাডির সামনে দেখবি না. একটা দুটো দেখি, তাড়াতাড়িও শুয়ে পড়তে পারি, জানি না. ঠিক আছে. Blood flows through blood vessels. Body tissues are not in direct contact with blood. Blood flows at high pressure through closed blood vessels. Blood flows at low pressure through lacunae and sinuses. In open system, it is slow and less efficient. In closed system, it is fast and more efficient. Volume of blood flowing through tissues and organs are not regulated. Volume of blood through tissues and organ is well regulated by contractile arteries and other blood vessels. In open system found in arthropods, prawns, crab, lobster, insect, spider, mollusk, pila, snail, oyster and clams. Found in and in closed system found in annelids, earthworm, nereis and chordates. Chordates में हम लोग humans include हो जाते हैं. All vertebrates possess a muscular chambered heart and it acts as a vascular system. Okay. Now coming to the circulatory system topic. Open circulatory system, closed circulatory system, two-chambered heart, three-chambered heart or four-chambered heart. Blood pumped by heart passes through large vessels into open spaces or body cavities called sinuses. In open circulatory system, blood pumped by the heart passes through large vessels into open spaces or body cavity called sinuses. Arthropods and mollusks are the example. Okay, arthropods and mollusks are the examples of open circulatory system. Closed circulatory system, the blood pumped by the heart is always circulated through a closed network of blood vessels. Closed circulatory system, the blood pumped by the heart is always circulated through a closed network of blood vessels. Closed network जो है blood vessels का उसमें से ही pump किया जाता है. That is annelids and chordates. Annelids and chordates. Two-chambered heart, an atrium and a ventricle, fishes. Three-chambered heart, two atria, one ventricle, amphibians and reptiles except crocodile. In reptile, the crocodile is included, but crocodile has not a three-chambered heart. It is a four-chambered heart like mammals. Four-chambered heart, two atria and two ventricles, crocodiles, birds and mammals. Single circulatory system, heart pumps out deoxygenated blood which is oxygenated by the gills and is supplied to the body parts from where deoxygenated blood is returned to the heart. Example, fishes. Incomplete double circulation, left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the gills, lungs or skin and the right atrium gets the oxygenated blood from the other parts of the body. Okay. Left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the gills or lungs, and the right atrium gets the deoxygenated blood from the other body parts. However, they get mixed up in the single ventricle which pumps out mixed blood. So, left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the gills, and the right atrium gets the deoxygenated blood from other body parts. Right atrium gets the deoxygenated blood from the other body parts. However, they get mixed up in the single ventricle which pumps out mixed blood, जो कि mixed blood pump out करते हैं. ठीक है, ventricle. Right atrium gets the deoxygenated blood. Left atrium receives the oxygenated blood through gills or lungs. Amphibians and reptiles are the example. Double circulation, oxygenated and deoxygenated blood received by a left and right atria. Oxygenated blood is received by left atria and deoxygenated by right atria. Respectively passes on the ventricles of the same side. The ventricles pump it out without any mixing up. Two separate circulatory pathways are present in this organism, that is birds and mammals. Complete. So this is the circulatory system. Now fishes two-chambered heart with a atria and ventricle, and amphibians and reptiles three-chambered heart with two atria and a single ventricle. Crocodile, birds and mammals four-chambered heart with two atria and a two ventricle. Now the main part, core part of this chapter, that is human heart. Pericardium. What is pericardium? Pericardium is a double-walled membranous bag enclosing the pericardial fluid. Pericardium is the double-walled membranous bag enclosing the pericardial fluid. Heart, four chambers, two atria, two ventricles. Two atria relatively smaller upper, larger lower chamber are the ventricles. Heart is mesodermally derived organ. Okay. Heart, four chambers, two atria, smaller upper, mesodermally derived organ. Okay. Location in thoracic cavity in between the two lungs, slightly tilted to the left. Slightly tilted to the left. Okay. Slightly tilted towards the left. Now, what is interatrial septum? Interatrial septum is a thin muscular wall separates right and the left atria. Left and right atria are separated by interatrial septum. नाम से ही पता चल रहा है atrial. So interatrial septum separates the right and the left atrium. Left and right atrium. Interventricular septum thick walled. Interatrial septum is thin and interventricular septum is thick. Separates the left and the right ventricles. Separates the left and the right ventricles. What is atrioventricular septum? Thick fibrous tissue separates atrium and ventricle of the same side. Thick fibrous tissue, atrioventricular septum. What is tricuspid valve? Tricuspid valve, a valve formed of three muscular flaps or cusps. A valve formed by three muscular flaps or cusps which guards the opening between the right atrium and ventricle. Right atrium and ventricle, which is found by three muscular flaps or cusps, guard between the opening of right atrium and ventricle, is known as tricuspid valve, and bicuspid valve is left atrium and ventricle opening guards between the left atrium and left ventricle is known as bicuspid valve or mitral valve और लेफ्ट एट्रियोवेंट्रिकुलर वाल्व, इसका तीन नाम है. What is semilunar valve? It guards the opening of the right and the left ventricles into the pulmonary artery and aorta respectively. अब वेंट्रिकल से जो निकल रहा है पल्मोनरी आर्टरी और aorta में, उसको गार्ड करने वाला सेमिलुनर वाल्व. What is foramen of Paniza? It is the aperture that connects the two ventricles. Foramen of Paniza is the aperture that connects the two ventricles. Foramen of Oval, the aperture present between two auricles in the embryonal stage. Foramen of Oval, the aperture present between two auricles in the embryonal stage. Okay, that is foramen of Oval. Fossa ovalis. What is fossa ovalis? It is the depression in the interatrial septum. It is the depression in the interatrial septum. Interauricular septum. It is the depression in the inner of the heart of the adult. The valves in the heart allow the flow of blood only in one direction, from the atria to the ventricles and from the ventricles to the pulmonary artery and aorta. This valve helps in the flow of blood. Okay. Valves prevent any backward flow. This valve prevents any backward flow. The walls of ventricles are much thicker than that of the atria. So the walls which are present in ventricles are much thicker than that of atria. It is a general knowledge. Once again, a quick revision of human heart. It is pericardium, double-walled membranous bag enclosing the pericardial fluid. Double-walled membranous bag enclosing the pericardial fluid. 4 chambers, mesodermally derived organ, 2 atria respectively small upper, 2 ventricular larger lower chamber, location in thoracic cavity in between the two lungs, slightly tilted to the left, interatrial septum, that is thin muscular wall, separates right and left atria. Interventricular septum, thick wall, separates the left and the right ventricles. And atrioventricular septum, thick fibrous tissue that separates right atrium and ventricle of the same side. Right atrium and ventricle of the same side. Okay. So this is the tricuspid valve, a valve formed by 3 muscular flaps or cusps which guards the opening which guards the opening between right atrium and ventricle. A bicuspid or mitral valve guards the opening between the left atrium and the left ventricle. Guards the opening between the left atrium and left ventricle. Next is semilunar valve. It guards the opening of the right and the left ventricle into the pulmonary artery and aorta. Foramen of Paniza, it is the aperture that connects the two ventricles. Foramen of Oval, the aperture present in two auricles in the embryonal stage. Foramen of Oval, the aperture present in two auricles in the embryonal stage. What is fossa ovalis? It is the depression in the interaurical septum of the heart of the adult. The valves in the heart allows the flow of blood only in one direction, and from the atria to the ventricles and from the ventricles to the pulmonary artery and aorta, and arteries carry blood away from the heart to the different organs. Aorta carry blood to the lungs for oxygen. Oxygenated blood to the right atrium. Transmission of heart impulse. Next topic. So maximize your marks. Arteries carry blood away from the heart and away from the heart to different organs, and fastest distribution of drugs with no risk can be achieved by injecting it into vein. Fastest distribution of drugs with no risk can be achieved by injecting it into the vein. Okay. Now next is transmission of heart impulse topic. Transmission of heart impulse. A specialized cardiac musculature called the nodal tissue is also distributed in the heart. A patch of nodal tissue is present in the right upper corner of the right atrium. Right upper corner of the right atrium, and called the sinoatrial node. This is known as sinoatrial node. Sinoatrial node. Another mass of nodal tissue is seen lower left corner of the right atrium, and that is known as atrioventricular node. Atrioventricular node. A bundle of nodal fibers, atrioventricular bundle, AV bundle, continues from the AV end which pass through the atrioventricular septa to emerge on the top of the interventricular septum and immediate divides into right and the left bundle. जैसे आपको यहाँ पर दिख रहा होगा, यहाँ से निकलता है और राइट एंड लेफ्ट में शिफ्ट हो जाते हैं दोनों बंडल. ओके, bundle of fibers which pass through the atrioventricular septa to emerge on the top of the atrioventricular septum and immediately divides into right and the left bundle The branches give rise to minute fibers through the ventricular musculature of the respective sites and are called Purkinje fibers. These fibers along with the right and the left bundles are known as bundle of His. The nodal musculature has the ability to generate an action potential without any external stimuli. It is auto-excitable. However, the number of action potential that could be generated in a minute varies at different parts of the nodal system. The SAN can generate the maximum number of action potentials 70 to 75 per minute and is responsible for initiating and maintaining the rhythmic contraction of the heart. Therefore, it is called a pacemaker of the heart. So SAN को action potential generate करता है. It is auto excitable and it beats 70 to 75 per minute. Our heart normally beats 70 to 75 times in a minute, average 72 beats per minute. Calcium 2 plus accelerates the heart rate. While sodium and potassium make it slow. तो कैल्शियम 2 प्लस जो होता है वो हार्ट रेट को एक्सेलरेट करता है, while sodium and potassium make it slow. Sometimes the SA node, sinoatrial node, may become defective or damaged. A person need to have an artificial pacemaker grafted in the chest. So that person need to have an artificial pacemaker grafted in the chest. What is pulmonary artery? It is the only artery that carries the deoxygenated blood, poor blood in O2. So pulmonary artery is the only artery that carries the deoxygenated blood. Pulmonary vein is the only vein that carries oxygenated blood, which is rich in O2. So difference between pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein is that it is the only artery that carries deoxygenated blood, which is poor in O2. And pulmonary vein, it is the only vein that carries oxygenated blood, which is rich in O2. That is the difference. Okay. Now, next is cardiac cycle. What is cardiac cycle? So, before this, I think we need a break, which is about 5 minutes. So it is going to we have a break, so drink water. So start again. Cardiac cycle. What is cardiac cycle? Cardiac cycle, sequential event in heart which is cyclically repeated is called the cardiac cycle, and it consists of systole and diastole of both the atria and ventricles. Sequential event in the heart which is cyclically repeated is called the cardiac cycle, and it consists of systole and diastole of both the ventricles and atria. Tricuspid and bicuspid valves are open, semilunar valves are closed. First point, tricuspid and bicuspid valves are open, semilunar valves are closed. Blood flows through the pulmonary veins and vena cava into left and the right atria. Left and right ventricle, then SAN generates an action potential, stimulates both atria. Atria undergoes a simultaneous contraction, atrial systole. Blood flow increase in ventricles by 30%. AVN and AV bundle conducts an action potential. Action potential transmits from bundle of his to entire ventricular musculature, contraction of ventricular muscles, relaxation of atria diastole. Okay. Ventricular pressure increases, tricuspid and bicuspid valves get closed, ventricular pressure increases further, semilunar valves are forced open, blood in ventricles flow through pulmonary artery. हाँ 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 Okay, so ventricular pressure increases further, semilunar valves are forced open, and in this bloods in the ventricle flows through pulmonary artery and aorta into circulatory pathways. Ventricle relax, ventricular diastole plus pressure falls, semilunar valves closes. It prevents the backflow of the blood into ventricles. Ventricular pressure declines further and pressure in atria exerted by blood. Tricuspid and bicuspid valves are pushed open. Blood was being emptied into them by veins. Blood now once again moves freely to the ventricles. Ventricles and atria relax again. Joint diastole. Soon SN generates a new action potential. Events described above are repeated in the sequence and the process continues. So it is a lengthy. ये मैं दोबारा बता दूंगा और okay, so tricuspid and bicuspid valves are open. Semilunar valves are closed. Blood flows through pulmonary veins and vena cava into left and right atria, left and right ventricle, then generates an action potential, stimulates both atria. Atria undergoes a simultaneous contraction, that is atrial systole. Blood flows increase in ventricles by 30%. AVN and AV bundle conducts an action potential. Action potential transmits from bundle of His to entire ventricular musculature. Contraction of ventricular musculature, relaxation of atria, that is diastole. Ventricular pressure increases. Tricuspid and bicuspid valves get closed. Ventricular pressure increases further. Semilunar valves are forced open. Blood in the ventricles flows through pulmonary artery and out into circulatory pathways. Ventricles relax. Ventricular diastole plus pressure falls. Semilunar valves get closed, ventricular pressure declines further, and pressure of atria in atria exerted by the blood. Tricuspid and bicuspid valves are pushed open. Blood was being emptied into them by veins. Blood now once again moves freely to ventricles. Ventricles and atria relaxed again. Joint diastole soon generates action potential, and this cycle continues. So this is the cardiac cycle. Okay. This is the diagram. This is the diagram. Now, duration of cardiac cycle is 0.8 seconds. During a cardiac cycle, each ventricle pumps out approximately 70 ml of blood, which is called stroke volume. The stroke volume multiplied by heart rate gives the cardiac output. Cardiac output equals to stroke volume into heart rate. Cardiac output is equals to stroke volume into heart rate. Stroke volume into heart rate. Okay. Stroke volume into heart rate. Cardiac output. आप याद रखना cardiac output equals to stroke volume into heart rate. Cardiac output can be defined as the volume of blood pumped out by each ventricle per minute and averages 5 liters in a healthy individual. So 5 liters of blood is being pumped by cardiac output per minute. 5000 ml or 5 liters. Blood pressure in the mammalian aorta is maximum during systole of the left ventricle. So where the blood pressure is high? During the systole of left ventricle. This question may come. Now the topic is heart sound. Heart sound. The first heart sound, lub, is associated with the closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid valve, whereas the second heart sound, dub, is associated with the closure of semilunar valve. Stethoscope, an instrument to listen heart sounds. Okay, stethoscope is an instrument to listen heart sounds. Features. First heart sound occurs during isometric contraction. Second heart sound occurs during isometric relaxation. Characteristic: long, soft and low pitched resembles the word love. Short, sharp and high pitched resembles the word dub. Cause closure of the atrioventricular valves, that is tricuspid and bicuspid valves. and sound of heart second time caused by the semilunar valves. Duration 0.10 seconds. Duration is also 0.10 seconds for second heart sound. Frequency 30 50. First heart sound frequency is 30 and second heart sound frequency is 50. Relation with ECG coincides with peak of R wave. Fast heart sounds coincide with the R wave peak, and second wave or heart sound coincide with the peak or precedes after 0.09 seconds after peak of T wave. Precedes after peak of T wave. So this was the all about heart sound topic. Heart sound occurs, first heart sound occurs during isometric contraction. Second heart sound occurs during isometric relaxation. Characteristics of first heart sound: long, soft and low pitched, resembles the word love. Short, sharp and high pitched, resembles the word dub. Cause: closure of the atrioventricular valves. Second heart sound: closure of the semilunar valves. Duration 0.10 seconds of first heart sound, and duration of second heart sound is 0.10 seconds also. Frequency 30 50. Relation with ECG coincides with the peak of R wave. The second heart sound precedes or appears 0.09 seconds after the peak of T wave. Now next topic is ECG, electrocardiogram. The end of T wave marks the end of systole. The end of T wave marks the end of systole. Counting the number QRX complex that occur in a given time period, one can determine the heartbeat rate of an individual. So QRS complex is one can determine the heart rate of individual. A patient is connected to the machine with 3 electrical leads, one to each wrist and to the left ankle. P wave represents the electrical excitation or depolarization of the atria, which leads to the contraction of the both atria. QRX complex represents the depolarization of ventricles. So P wave represents the depolarization of atria and Q wave represents the depolarization of ventricles. So P wave, again I am saying learn it. P waves represents the electrical excitation of depolarization of atria. QRS complex represents the depolarization of the ventricles. T wave represents the return of the ventricles from excited to normal state, repolarization. बस so इतना ही ठीक है. Atrial depolarization, P wave represents the atrial depolarization, QRS complex represents the ventricular depolarization, and T represents the repolarization of ventricle. Okay. Now next topic is double circulation. Double circulation. An unique vascular connection exists between the digestive tract and the liver, that is called hepatic portal system. The hepatic portal vein carries blood from the intestine to the liver before it is delivered to systematic circulation. The hepatic portal vein carries blood from intestine to the liver before it is delivered to systematic circulation. Now, regulation of heart activity. Normal activities of the heart are regulated intrinsically, auto-regulated by specialized muscles called nodal tissue, hence the heart is called myogenic. A special neural center in the medulla oblongata can moderate the cardiac function through ANS, that is autonomic nervous system. Neural signals through the sympathetic nervous system can increase the rate of heartbeat. Parasympathetic neural signal decreases the rate of heartbeat, speed of conduction of action potential, and thereby the cardiac output. Adrenal medullary hormones can also increase the cardiac output. So this is the regulation of heart activity. So normal activities of the heart are regulated intrinsically. Again, I'm saying auto-regulated by specialized muscles, that is nodal tissue, and hence the heart is called myogenic. Heart is called myogenic. Okay. A special neural center in the medulla oblongata can moderate the cardiac function through ANS. A special neural system, medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata can moderate the cardiac function through autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. Neural signals through sympathetic nerves can increase the rate of heartbeat. Parasympathetic neural system decrease the rate of heartbeat, speed of conduction, action potential, and adrenal medullary hormones can increase the cardiac output. So now the topic is disorders of heart. High blood pressure. Hypertension refers to the blood pressure that is higher than normal. 120 by 80 mmHg. High blood pressure leads to heart disease and also affects vital organs like brain and kidney. Coronary artery disease, atherosclerosis, affects the vessels that supply blood to the heart muscles, caused by deposit of calcium, fat, cholesterol, and fibrous tissue, makes the lumen of arteries narrower. Coronary artery disease affects by deposit of calcium, affects the supply blood to the heart muscle caused by deposit of calcium, fat, cholesterol, and fibrous tissue, makes the lumen of arteries narrower. Angina pectoris, acute chest pain when no enough oxygen is reaching the heart muscle. It occurs due to conditions that affect the blood flow. Heart failure, state of heart when it is not pumping blood effectively to meet the needs of the body. Many symptoms is the congestion of the lungs. Heart attack, that is myocardial infarction, the heart muscle is suddenly damaged by inadequate blood supply. Cardiac arrest, the heart stops beating due to the failure of the heart to contract effectively. The main cause is coronary artery disease, and that is called cardiac arrest. So what is angina pectoris? When no enough oxygen is reaching the heart muscle, it occurs due to the condition that affect the blood flow. Okay, heart attack, that is myocardial infarction, the heart muscle is suddenly damaged by inadequate blood supply. So this is the chapter, and so body fluids and circulations are done today. Now next chapter will be tomorrow. There is excretion and locomotion, which will cover up within 2 hours, and biological classificational plant kingdom will be also covered tomorrow. So thank you.